The Last of Us is truly an amazing game, and it's made even more amazing with the PS5 remaster. I first played The Last of Us on the PS4 remaster at my friend's house when I was a very young lad. I remember us taking turns each time we died and being scared shitless of the clickers, but I also remember that this was one of the first games I'd played where I was just sucked into the storytelling. I never got to beat the game in the short few hours I was at my friend's place, and at this time I had an Xbox, and there was no way I was convincing my parents to buy me a PlayStation for just one game. But now I am an adult with disposable income, and Xbox's best attempts to commit corporate suicide have pushed me to mainly play PC and PlayStation. Seriously, I've made this joke before, but my Xbox is essentially a giant paperweight at this point. Anyway, upon purchasing my PS5, I noticed that The Last of Us got another remaster, and decided to get it as one of my first games on PlayStation, and oh boy, did it not disappoint. Now, I was barely out of my daddy's balls when I played the PS4 version of the game, but going off memory, the core gameplay in the PS5 version is the exact same. The game has a high emphasis on stealth, which I usually hate in games, but this is the good kind of stealth where if you do get caught, you're able to fight your way out. I am so sick of games that have that Ubisoft style of stealth where there's a detection meter and it feels uninteresting and boring. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And usually in these games where stealth is only an option, I almost never use it. But in this game, it actually feels important because of the limited ammo and resources you are given throughout the game. In fact, even with these limited resources, I found a more guerrilla warfare, hit and run style of gameplay was the most fun way to play. And the game knows people are going to do this. It doesn't have any forced stealth sections where if you get caught, it's an instant failure. The guns feel amazing to use as well. They feel like they have actual weight to them and are punchy to fire, with great sound design. The PS5's haptic feedback controller makes these guns feel even better and more immersive in my opinion. It's kind of hard to explain how the haptic feedback feels unless I physically give you the controller and let you experience it for yourself. The melee combat also has the same weight and punchiness as a drunken stepdad who's come home to his wife's kids to another man after work, making it very satisfying to crack baseball bats over people's skulls. But yeah, this is my whole gameplay section. There's literally nothing to complain about here. I didn't even experience a bug or a glitch or bad performance or anything like that. It was actually really refreshing. Moving on to the story now, the game starts us off in the year 2013, where an outbreak of a mutated version of the cordyceps fungus is now infecting humans and turning them into zombies. The game quickly introduces us to the main character Joel Miller and his daughter Sarah. We then play a little bit as Sarah, who was woken up by Joel's brother Tommy. Hey, wait, is that a landline? I actually forgot those existed. Anyway, Sarah is woken up by Tommy, who frantically asks for Joel to be put on the phone. The phone line then abruptly cuts out, and since this game is based before TikTok, Sarah doesn't doom scroll and bed rot for an hour and instead takes some initiative and goes to look for her dad. We find Joel running in from the backyard in a panic and grabs a gun out. One of the infected people comes up and smashes through the sliding door, then Joel kills him. After this, Tommy rocks up and Joel mentions one of my favourite Kings of Leon songs.
What out there?
I got some notion.
We then all pile into Tommy's car and try to escape the city. Whilst we watch this family's home burn down, did you know that Kings of Leon's fourth album, Only by the Night, was their biggest album? But despite this, longtime fans felt betrayed that the band had abandoned their southern rock roots, essentially splitting their fan base into two sides? Dividing up a fan base. Where have I heard that one before? After driving around for a bit, we get into a car accident where Sarah breaks her leg and we play as Joel running from the infected with her in our arms as Tommy protects us. After running through some back alleys and dodging the local crackheads, we enter the back of a bar where Tommy decides to hold the door closed from infected trying to break in whilst we run out the front door. There is still infected chasing us, but after running for a while longer, we are saved by a soldier. That soldier gets orders from higher up to kill us. After he gives Joel a burst of back shots, he comes to finish the job, but Tommy saves us. We then quickly realise that all of the bullets fired went into Sarah and completely missed Joel. When I first played this game years ago, this scene was gut-wrenching. And it still is. You know Sarah for only around 20 minutes of game time. Usually when a character dies this early on, I'd make a joke saying how they're making it all emotional even though we barely knew or cared about the character and we'll probably never hear about them again. But here, I do actually care about Sarah and her death. how it affects Joel and Tommy, and her death isn't forgotten, and you can see later on how this affects Joel. If you guys have seen my last video, you'll know that I recently played Jedi Survivor, and in that game's story it attempts to do the same thing, but instead of building up the characters' relationship by showing us how much the characters care about each other, it instead does it through expository dialogue. Hey Cal, how did you meet Glub Shitto? Well, I was actually at an exotic Twi'lek dance club where he saved me from a group of bounty hunters. Best friends ever since. In The Last of Us, there is none of that. In the first 20 minutes, it clearly establishes that Joel and Sarah have a very loving relationship, with Tommy being a close family member, with no dialogue directly telling us that. Imagine if in the car ride at the beginning of the prologue there was a fourth person, let's say a neighbour of Joel's who hops in the car with them, and this guy is just used as a vessel to make expository dialogue. So Joel, you've been Sarah's dad for long? Oh no, only her whole life, ever since she shot out of her mother's pussy. It just wouldn't work. I'm kinda ranting here, but my point is that the game's writing is really good. After Sarah's death, we cut to 20 years later. Civilization has been completely destroyed and Joel works as a smuggler with his partner Tess in a quarantine zone. The quarantine zones are run by a group called Fedra, which are essentially all that is left of the government. Joel and Tess hunt down a fella whose name I forgot because he stole some guns from them. After capturing Old Mate, we kindly ask him where our guns are, and he tells us that he sold them to a group called the Fireflies. The Fireflies are a militia group who are at war with Fedra because Fedra are kinda cunts to the way they treat people. Anyway, after letting the nice man go, an injured woman walks around the corner. This woman is Marlene and just so happens to be the leader of the Fireflies. Marlene then proposes that she doubles the weapons cache that was stolen as long as Joel and Tess smuggle something out of the quarantine zone for her. We then follow Marlene to a nearby safe house where we discover that the cargo we're smuggling is actually a 14-year-old girl named Ellie. Fast forward a bit and we are outside the quarantine zone where we are captured by Fedra soldiers. The soldiers test us for infection where it is revealed that Ellie is infected. Ellie then reveals the truth that she is immune to the infection and she is being sent to a facility controlled by the Fireflies where they are trying to make a cure. Fast forward again because I can't be fucked to explain every little detail about this story like I did for the first 20 minutes of the game. We make it to the rendezvous point with the Fireflies, find out they're all fucked. Tess got bitten in a previous encounter with infected. Fedra rock up and Tess dies trying to buy Joel and Ellie some time. Joel then seeks out a fella named Bill. If you've watched the TV show, he's in the gay episode. In the game, however, he is a lot more fleshed out and portrayed a lot better in my opinion. Bill helps them get a working car where they are then attacked by a colony of alien worms called Hunters. Oh wait, wrong script. They are attacked by a group of bandits called Hunters where they lose their car and have to try to escape the city on foot. In the city we meet two brothers named Henry and Sam who are also portrayed way better in the game than the show. After they escape the city, it's revealed the younger brother Sam has been bitten. Sam then attacks Ellie where Henry shoots him, then decides to take his own life. The game then cuts to the autumn where Joel and Ellie find Tommy in a town called Jackson. The town of Jackson is well fortified and organised to the point that they are attempting to fix up a hydroelectric dam so they can have electricity. Tommy, being an ex-Firefly, points Joel into the direction of where he might be able to find them, but not before reopening some old wounds about Joel's daughter. Joel also attempts to leave Ellie with Tommy and leave, but eventually decides not to. When reaching the Firefly hideout Tommy mentioned, we realise that the Fireflies are long gone. Joel and Ellie find an audio recording of one of the doctors that were there, and he mentions where the Fireflies are being moved to. Suddenly, a group of people enter the building and attack Joel and Ellie, eventually leaving Joel severely wounded when trying to escape. After successfully escaping, the game then jumps to the winter where we start off playing as Ellie. At this stage we are unsure what has happened to Joel but are focused on hunting a deer. The anticipation that this entire scene builds up with Joel's condition is immense. After successfully hunting a deer, we are approached by two men named David and I don't fucking remember because he's not that important. David asks Ellie if she would be willing to trade medicine for the deer as he is from a large group of people that are very hungry. Ellie jumps at the opportunity and they send the guy whose name I can't remember to go grab the medicine. From this point on, I forgot to hit record for any of my gameplay, so enjoy looking at footage of me in random combat encounters for the rest of this story section. Whilst he is fetching the medicine, Ellie and David are attacked by a large horde of infected but manage to survive. After this encounter, David reveals that the men that attacked you at the Firefly outpost were his men, but still orders for you to take the medicine and leave anyway. We eventually see that Joel is in pretty bad shape and Ellie gives him medicine. David's guys eventually come looking for us. In an attempt to lead them away from Joel, Ellie is captured. Here it is shown that David's group are cannibals and David is desires with Ellie. Let's just say Epstein would be proud of him. Ellie manages to escape her cell, then we cut back to Joel for a bit and kill some cunts while we look for Ellie. We then go back to Ellie's POV where we fight David and butcher him with a machete where Joel finds Ellie. The game then cuts to spring where Joel and Ellie finally find the Fireflies and Marlene. Marlene informs Joel that for a cure to be made, Ellie has to go into surgery that she has no chance of surviving as the fungus grows on the brain and they need to extract the fungus. Joel doesn't like this idea and goes absolutely beast mode on all the Fireflies, saves Ellie from surgery, kills Marlene, then escapes. Joel then decides to take Ellie back to Tommy's where on the way back he lies to Ellie saying that there was nothing they could do to make a vaccine and there were actually dozens of immune people like her. I then remembered to hit the record button and get the last 4 minutes of the game where Ellie demands the truth from Joel about the Fireflies and Joel lies to her again. Now, what are my thoughts on the story? Well, I'm glad you asked. I think that this story is captivating to say the least. It's heartfelt, it's incredible, and it really is one of those stories that feels like no other. When characters are happy, you feel happy for them. When they're sad, you feel sad with them. And when they're scared, you fear for them. Very few pieces of media make you feel for the characters like The Last of Us does. I have heard that some people do not like Joel's decision at the end of the game to save Ellie instead of letting her die to make a vaccine, and I just don't understand how. If I was in Joel's situation and it was my daughter or wife or friend, I would fight like hell to save them too, even if it means we don't get a vaccine for the infection. Moving on to the Left Behind DLC now, I don't have much to say about this. The gameplay is the same and it tells two stories centered around Ellie where we already know the ending to them because they were either told or shown to us in the base game. One story takes place immediately after Joel is injured in the base game and shows Ellie looking for supplies to save him. Obviously we know how this ends because it directly ties into the base game. The other story is about how Ellie and her best friend Riley got bitten. Unlike the other story, there are no combat encounters and we know how it ends because Ellie tells us this story in the game. Although I don't think this DLC is bad by any means, story-wise it just doesn't hold that emotional weight and tension that the base game had. In the base game I really felt for the characters and were actually scared for them when they came close to death, whereas here I knew the outcome of these characters from the get-go, so I didn't really care about them at all. To finally conclude this video, The Last of Us definitely deserves all the praise it gets for its story. Its gameplay is also really good, with stealth that doesn't piss me off or feel half-baked like most other games do. The DLC leaves a lot to be desired story-wise, but there are some combat encounters which are fun. And my only complaint is that the remaster didn't keep the Joel shuffle. Throw that thing back, Jolseph! Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this. Bye.